Right, well, good evening, everybody. Nice to see so many of you joining us. Sorry we're remote, but it seems that school has had another influx of COVID, so I think it's the best for all of us to do this virtually. Obviously, I'm here, Miss Neal, Year 6 teacher, Osprey teacher. Mr. Bonner's with us as well, and Miss Sims has also joined in from home. So we're all here. Can I just ask, we're obviously recording this so that we can send it out afterwards to anyone who might not be able to join this evening. And also, if you've got any questions, please, can you put them in the chat function? Mr. Bonnet is monitoring the chat function, so hopefully we can answer any of your questions as we go along. But the purpose of this evening is just to run through the Key Stage 2 SATs, what they are, what the format will look like, and what you can do at home to help support your children as well. So, oh, this is where the technology lets me down. Let me click through in the proper way. Okay, so Key Stage 2 SATs. The children have to sit the SATs. It's a government requirement. It stands for the statutory assessment tests, and those are sat in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So your children, if they were in the UK at the time, will have done these in Year 2. And now at the end of Key Stage 2 in Year 6, they also sit the SATs test. So we'll run through in a few minutes what those look like and the format of those. Blank screen, try again. This is the big difference really with SATs. If you've got other children that it's been a few years since they sat the SATs test, this is the big difference that they now talk in scaled scores. So your children will be awarded a scaled score once they have their results of their SATs. 100 is the national standard. So that's what the children are obviously aiming for, is to get 100, the national standard. They have a raw score, so that's that actual mark, which is then converted into the scaled score, and that's what the children will receive. The scale will have a lower endpoint somewhere below 100 and an upper endpoint above 100. We're not entirely sure what that will look like this year. We're obviously in a very different situation this year to the last time we did SATs in 2019. The children have been in and out of school a lot. I've actually had an email from, not personally, but we've had an email from one of the MPs in charge of the statutory assessments today to say, we've got a lot of questions. Why are you still doing these SATs? And he's basically just said that the government need them. So that's why we're doing it. We're not doing it because we want to do it. It's the government saying that they're important and that we need to do this for data and to see how the children have got on during COVID. So sorry, went off task. Each pupil will receive a raw score, a scaled score, and then a confirmation if they've attained the national standard or not. That will make more sense in a few moments, hopefully. So yeah, on publication of the test results, your child will get a score if they've met the national standard or if they have not met the national standard. A child awarded a scaled score of more than 100 is judged to have exceeded the national standard. And then if they get to 110 as a scaled score, that's when they say that they're working at greater depth within the national standard. So that's kind of the next level up, as it were. If your child hasn't got the 100, which obviously not all children get because that's, you know, we wouldn't expect them to, then that just means they're a little bit below the average of that year. Okay, and obviously the average changes every year of the marks and things awarded. So we can never predict precisely where that will be. So 2022, this is what the timetable looks like. So this has been taken off the DFE website, the Department for Education. SATs week is the week beginning the 9th of May, which when we counted up the weeks, isn't that far away because we've luckily got lots of nice holidays and things in between now and then. But this is what the week will look like. On the Monday, we start with the English grammar, punctuation and spelling test. I'll talk about that in a few moments, but that's made up of two different papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Tuesday, then we move on to our reading paper. And then Wednesday, it's on to maths. So on Wednesday, we have 2 maths papers, the arithmetic and then a reasoning paper. And we end the week on Thursday with the final maths paper. So most of the days, it is just about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half of actual papers. So it's not too onerous for the children. We try and make the rest of the week really, really enjoyable for them. And in the past, a lot of the year 6s have said they actually love SATs week because we don't do much work in their view, because we have a nice time in the afternoon, hopefully, and kind of celebrate all the hard work that they are putting in the mornings. So to start us off, that's the breakdown. The timings are there for you. The only one we haven't talked about, of course, is writing, and the children will be given a teacher assessment of their writing. So no longer do they do a written exam for their writing grade. As in recent years, it is a teacher assessment, so we can take into account lots and lots of pieces of work that they've been doing pretty much from now onwards, to see how they're getting on. It's less stressful. They're not having to write to a test. It's more natural for the children. So yeah, we much prefer that the writing is teacher assessment. It gives the children a much better chance to succeed and be the best that they can be. So that's a real positive. All of the others will be tested during that week. I have to click twice. I have to click twice at the moment. Right. So the SPAG test on the Monday. We've got the spelling test is administered. So the spelling test, we have chosen, we can look at what to do with these. Sometimes we've done the spelling test after break. Sometimes we've done the spelling test before break. They haven't actually produced yet the rules and regulations to which we have to follow. That hasn't come out yet, unless it's come out today. So we'll see which order in which we do these, but the spelling test is 20 words. We do that for the children. So it's about 15 minutes, but it's not strictly timed. We can move on when the children are ready. And then the punctuation, vocabulary and grammar test lasts a bit longer, 45 minutes. And that's a lot of short answer questions, ticking boxes, underlining things, circling things, just writing very short responses, maybe a sentence, but that's all they are expected to do for that paper. And then those 2 results are added together to give the total for the spelling, punctuation and grammar paper. So just to give you an example, this is a question taken from the grammar, punctuation and spelling, the grammar and punctuation, not the spelling paper. Things like this. This is kind of the expectation for year 6s, which we're doing a lot of at the moment in class. Tick 1 box in each row to show if the underlined conjunction is a subordinating conjunction or a coordinating conjunction. So they have to read through those and then tick in which one they think it is. And a lot of this, and which will start after February half term, is actually making sure the children understand the test question and that they're doing the right thing. In this particular paper, we are allowed to read anything that the children ask us to. So if they ask us to read that question to them, we're allowed to do that, as long as we don't overemphasize or, you know, don't give away the answers basically to them. We can read any part of the question, or we can explain it if they don't understand, without obviously telling them what we wouldn't be able to tell them what conjunction was, for example, but we could explain, oh, you need to put a tick in that box or that box. So yeah, we try and make it as informal as possible, and as helpful as possible, so that they can do their best. But as you can see, the standard's quite high. They're things that we don't talk about every day as adults, unless you're a year 6 teacher. So it's one of those things that the children need to know. They're putting in their writing all the time, so it's not totally a pointless activity by all means, because these are the things they also have to put in their writing every day. And hopefully will make their writing stronger and their knowledge of the English language stronger as well. So that's just an example there of that paper and what it may look like. The reading paper. So on Tuesday is the reading paper. Now this is the one that the children find quite hard going, really, because there's an awful lot to do in an hour. So it's a single paper. and it's made up of 3 different texts, all put into one booklet, and the children are given 60 minutes in total to read the text and answer all of the questions, and there's 50 marks available. The questions are designed to assess the comprehension and understanding of a child's reading. Some questions are multiple choice or selected response, others require short answers, and some require an extended response or explanation. So with this one, as I say, there's 3 texts that the children are given. They are easier at the beginning. The text at the end is the hardest text, and the questions tend to get steadily harder as well through each section. So we encourage as much as possible the children to work through the easier questions, and we talk a little bit more about test technique again after February half term. It's something we do work on because we don't think it's fair to just leave them to get on with it. However, I'm not sure if they've done that many comprehension papers. They certainly haven't with us because we don't want to put that pressure on them too early on in the year, but we'll start doing those types of things after February half term to make sure that they understand what the paper will look like, and hopefully take some of that stress and anxiety away if they have any. So again, an example. Oh no, there's no example.
I don't think we put an example.
Oh, we didn't put an example in, sorry, but there is one. Good job, Mr. Bond is here. There is one in the parents information booklet that we sent along with the link for this meeting. So if you'd like to look at any of them, there are some in there. It's what you'd expect. It's similar to the comprehensions that they bring home at the weekend, where they have to read a text, they answer the questions. So there's lots of technique that we'll go through, but doing those homework pieces with them each week will really, really help with that. Sorry, moving on to maths. 3 papers for maths, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3. Paper 1, the children tend to really enjoy, and that's the arithmetic paper. It lasts 30 minutes and goes through all the calculation methods and things like fractions, percentages, decimals, all of the multiplication, divisions, all that kind of thing that you'd expect to see. We do that every day in our maths lessons anyway. They do that in year 5 and they do it in year 6. Every single day we go through arithmetic questions with the children because it helps with their maths work so much. If they need to know the arithmetic to then make sure that they can apply that in the other questions. So it's something that they're really used to. I know my maths group at the moment are getting very competitive with it. They're trying to beat Miss Sims with lots of things, and they're working especially hard with their arithmetic at the moment because they're feeling really, really good about it. They're even asking, can we do a SATs paper? Because they think now they're absolutely fab. They think, right, we're going to get full marks. So yeah, they're in a really good place, and we're kind of trying to harbour that positivity and that confidence, taking it into that paper. But as I said, we haven't done an arithmetic paper yet this year because we don't want to pile on the pressure for them. Across all of them, the questions gradually increase in difficulty, as you would expect. Not all the children will be expected to access some of the more difficult questions. So the ones right at the very back are normally worth 3 marks, and they are quite tricky. And obviously we encourage all children to have a go at all questions, but it's not unusual that some of the children would struggle with those questions at the back of the paper. Papers 2 and 3 cover the problem solving and reasoning. So they're all the word problems. They're the word problems where they've got to apply their knowledge to different tasks. They could be multi-step questions, reading graphs, reading statistics, and making sure that they then apply the different methods correctly to those questions. Those each last 40 minutes. The pupils will still require calculation skills, but will need to answer questions in context and decide what is required to find a solution. For that one as well, again, we are allowed to read the questions to the children. So as long as we don't explain what to do, we can read the questions to the children to ensure that they understand what they're meant to be doing at their own level. They've got to figure it out for themselves. However, we can read that to them. Here we go. This is what the arithmetic paper looks like. So I think we'll try this with some of the children as they're asking for it in the next couple of weeks, but straightforward calculations that they're expected to do. And all of these methods we've taught and revisited this year. We worked hard on that in the first autumn term, and also going into the second half of the autumn term, we looked at all of this. So this is all covered now, and we're literally just going over and over and over it to make sure that all those skills are embedded, because their maths will come on leaps and bounds when they can access all of this. This is an example from one of the reasoning papers. So you can see it just takes a bit more brain work. There's a number pyramid. The number in a box is the product of the two numbers below it, right in the missing numbers. So the children just need to work out, okay, well, what does product mean? How am I going to work that out? How can I work backwards? And then just checking through and making sure their answer is correct. You can see that that one's worth 2 marks, because there is, there's a couple more steps to that one. But that's just an example of what those might look like. And then going on to a little bit trickier, large pizzas cost £8.50, small pizzas cost £6.75. 5 children together buy 1 large pizza and 3 small pizzas. They share the cost equally. How much does each child pay? And this is the big thing we're finding at the moment when we're doing questions like this with the children. They'll do all the adding up, they'll do all the bits, and then they'll forget to answer the last step. So with these kind of word problems, they'll quite often do step 1 and step 2, but forget step 3, or they'll do the first step and forget to do the second step. So it's really, we're trying to get them to really read the questions carefully and check that for themselves, because they get really annoyed with themselves when they realise, oh, that's all I had to do at the end. I just had to add that on and I could have got it right, because it's not their maths ability at all. It's just reading the question and making sure that they're doing what they've been asked to do. So just some examples there of the different questions on the reasoning. So I've covered a little bit of this as I've been going through, but what help can the children have? In the reading test, sadly, the children must read the text and the questions by themselves. Obviously, it's the reading test. We can't read things for them. And that's why it's one of the trickiest tests for the children. But they may have help recording their answers if this is done in a normal classroom situation. So, for example, if somebody had broken their arm, or if there's somebody with real difficulties in recording their answers on paper, then we could help on a one-to-one basis to help them record those answers. Okay, we would only be allowed to write down exactly what the children said. We're not allowed to punctuate it unless they tell us to. So it is quite strict in what we're allowed to do. However, if that's going to impede them, then we can help. In maths, teachers can read the questions to any child who asks. Some children will have the whole paper read to them on a one-to-one basis. So any child in the class, because we will sit the SATs in the classroom spread out over the 3 rooms on the top floor. If they pop their hand up, we can read a question to them to help them. There are some children where if they find reading really a challenge, then we can read the paper to them. However, that will be done properly. We have to fill out the correct forms and things. So we'll inform you individually if we think that's appropriate for your child. Teachers can encourage, but not guide or say that an answer is correct or incorrect. So as you can imagine, we're very good at smiling lots during SATs week, being very encouraging, because that's all they need. They just sometimes need a smile. It doesn't matter what they've put as the answer. They just need to know that they're doing well and that we're really proud of them. And so that's what we try to do more than anything else, is to make them feel like, that they've done really well, no matter what it may be. You can't stop the talking on the playground afterwards. However, we go, oh no, we can't remember that question. No, I'm sure you've got it right, well done, and just move on like that. We try not to kind of ponder on it or go through anything, move on after it's done. And then that final one there, words on a test paper can be transcribed where a marker may not be able to read a child's answer. So again, where we know that handwriting is an issue, or if anything's happened so a child cannot write very clearly, as long as we go through it within a certain amount of time, and there's a few of us together to make sure obviously that those papers are changed inappropriately, then we can transcribe different words that are illegible. But obviously we work with them every day, so we can normally work out what they're trying to write. Absence. Oh, absence. It's a big thing at the moment, but no absence will be authorised during the period from, so that week of the 9th of May, we will not be able to authorise any absences. So please ensure that you have no holidays or appointments booked for those dates. especially the mornings, because it's the mornings where we're doing the tests. And this is a big one that we don't quite know what's going to happen at the moment, but if your child is ill, there will be a short period where they will still be able to sit the test, ensuring they have no contact with any other children who have taken the tests. I'm sure the DfE are trying to figure out how that's going to happen. Hopefully COVID will have dropped off a lot by then, because at the moment it would be a challenge to sit any kind of exams or SATs papers with everyone at the same time, but I'm sure by then we'll be in a much better space, let's hope. So what you can do at home. So the first thing is, please, please, please don't pile any undue pressure or unnecessary pressure on the children. Support and reassure your child that there is nothing to worry about, and they should always just try to do their best. Praise and encourage. That's, I can assure you, everything we try to do from our end. We've tried not to mention it up until recently. And again, we're treating it more like a healthy competition and just being the best you can be, rather than, you know, you've got to be here, you've got to be there. That's not realistic. That's not what the children need. They just need to do their best and make their best progress. Ensure your child has the best possible attendance at school. Again, tricky at the moment. If your child can't attend school for whatever reason, especially if it's COVID related, we have been putting home learning on. If we know a child is off with COVID, we have been putting home learning on the school website in the pupil area daily, matching what we're doing in English and maths. So if unfortunately your child can't come to school, please, 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 if they're well enough, try to encourage them to do some of that work online, because it's just trying to catch up again is really tricky. Support your child with any homework tasks. I know that sometimes it can be tricky because maybe parents have been taught in a different way to the way the children have been now. So if there ever comes a problem like that, please just ask the children to come in and see us. We're more than happy to sit with them and help them with their homework at any point. We don't want family rows. So please, please, please just send them in and say, go and see Miss Neil, Mr. Bonner, Miss Timms, whoever it may be, and we will support them. Reading is a biggie. Please read as much as possible, and we've got loads of beautiful new books in school, so all reading is good. Spelling, arithmetic, their times tables are always fantastic things to practice at home. And the last one, really before the last one, academic last one, to talk to your child about what they've learned at school and what books they're reading, the character, the plot, their opinion of it. And it's having that chat around books and just trying to enthuse them about books a little bit more. So yeah, that would be that one. And then the final one, please make sure your child sleeps well and has a healthy breakfast every morning during that week. But I think, oh, that is the last one. Hang on. There we go. So I think that's it from us in terms, I know it's a very quick whiz through of all the different bits and bobs. As I say, this booklet is really, really useful. So if we went through at the speed of light, it breaks it down into much smaller details going through here. However, this has not been updated with the 2022 dates. This is based on the last SAT, so I think it could be 2019 dates that it's got in there. So just to make sure that when you're reading that, it is the 9th of May this year that the SATs tests are happening. But I think, unless I've missed anything, Mr. Bonner, Miss Sims, that you can think of, I think that is pretty much everything. There's nothing on the chat at the moment. Obviously, we're here to we'll be speaking to you all hopefully. We'll be speaking to you all hopefully during Parents' Evening in the next couple of weeks. And also, you know, if you've got any questions that you think about afterwards or anything related to your child in particular individually, then we'll be here. Please send an email via the office. Or we have a question. Are the 3 reading texts the same length as the homework they get? They will differ. The first news ones are quite lengthy. The 3 texts are normally based on one text will be an A4 page. The other 2 texts are normally A4 pages. So there's a lot of reading to do in an hour. And that's why it is such a challenge, is there is an awful lot to go through. So speed is a key one. Skim reading is a skill that we do a lot of in school and we'll be doing more of, and also just writing what the answer needs to be, not writing extended sentences for every answer, just writing the key information that the question is asking for. So there's a lot of test technique involved in the reading paper, which we will work through after the half term. Spelling list is all of the spellings taught since they started school, essentially. So up until the year 5-6 spelling list. So year 5-6 spelling list, I'm pretty sure is still on our class pages on the website. I'll double check afterwards. If it's not there, I'll put it on. It won't be those precise rules, but it will be the spelling rules based on those, if that makes sense. So double letters, double consonants, silent letter endings, all those type of things that they add in, but they're words that the children will have been learning in school in our weekly spelling lessons, and those they did in 3-4, and going back as well to Key Stage 1 and all the things they did in phonics. No, nothing to do with verbal and non-verbal reasoning. No, that's normally associated with the 11 plus. And no, they don't need to do, some they will and some they won't. Sorry, comprehension questions. I'm reading and answering at the same time. The comprehension questions, some it will say write a word, write 2 words, and some it will say you need to, if it's a 3-mark question, for example, it might ask them to explain their answer. If it's asking them to explain that answer, then they do need to do that in full sentences. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, if there's anything else, please do get in touch. Either send it in the children's homework diary if it's a quick, easy question, or feel free to email into the office and we'll do our best to get back to you. If we get lots of questions in, we could do, we'll see if we can send out to everyone a frequently asked questions list and make sure that you all get access to that. But basically, we're encouraging the children to be the best that they can be. We're trying not to put undue pressure on them, but they are the most formal tests that the children will be exposed to. You know, we do need to sit them separately. There will be no talking. They're not allowed to get up and have an natter, all of that kind of thing. So it is the most formal assessment that they will have had, but we'll practice that so it's not scary for them when the time comes. Okay, well, thank you very, very much for your time tonight. Oh, another question. Sorry, are the comprehension marked for grammar and spelling? No, they're not. The marker has to obviously be able to read it and understand it. But no, it doesn't, as long as it's legible and they can understand what they're trying to say, then it doesn't matter. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Please be in touch, and yes, thank you for your support. And I hope all the children enjoyed their day at Safety Central. Yeah. We're shattered, but it's been a lovely day and we had a lovely time and learned all about keeping ourselves safe at home. So I hope they enjoyed their day trip as well. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.